All right, welcome to Lesson 6, Factors and Divisibility. Go ahead and write the title at the top of your note page in your spiral notebook. Most of you already have a small square glued in for Lesson 6. You're going to be taking your notes under that small piece of paper, and that is titled Test for Divisibility. So we'll get to that in a second. With Lesson 6, Factors and Divisibility, hopefully in your head you're thinking, well, what is a factor? Great question. Glad you're thinking that. Factor should be a familiar term to you. Factor is basically when you have a number and it multiplies evenly into another number. A number that multiplies evenly into another number. I do want you to write that in your notes. For example, we might have, hold on, let me clear this. There we go. 12. I was thinking, all right, well, what are the factors of 12? So you should be thinking, okay, what numbers multiply into 12? Well, 12, it equals 1 times 12. That's something. And then also 2 times 6, 3 times 4. So all of those numbers that I just mentioned are factors of 12. There's nothing else that will multiply evenly into 12. All right, let's talk about 51. Probably not something you know as well as 12. We don't think about things multiplying into 51 as often. So, well, definitely 1 times 51. Then I want to think, okay, is there anything else besides that? Is 51 a prime number? It would be prime if it was just 1 and 51. But let's think about if there's anything else. 2 is an easy one to decide because 2, it only multiplies into even numbers, and 51 is an odd number. So 2 is not going to work. 3, don't know if you know this handy little trick. 3 is easy to tell. All you do is you add up your digits. So 5 plus 1 is 6. 3 goes into 6. So 3 is actually a factor of 51. And so if you actually divide it by 3, you're going to get 17. And those are going to end up being all our factors. You keep going with 4, 5, 6, etc. None of them are going to multiply into 51. So those would be the factors of 51. Another term that you often hear with factor is greatest common factor, also abbreviated GCF. So again, you need that in your notes, GCF. Basically, they list two numbers. You have to find the highest common factor in between those numbers. So for the GCF between 12 and 51, well, I'm looking at my factors for 12, look at my factors for 51, and I'm trying to find the factor that they have in common, the highest one they have in common. They both have 1 in common, but also both of them have a 3. So my GCF between 12 and 51 is going to be 3. All right, tests for divisibility. So this is a nifty little sheet here. It's going to tell you everything that a number, well, it'll help you figure out if a number is divisible by these numbers. Basically, it will help you figure out if a number has these as its factors. So when it says test for divisibility, say that 5 times fast, really it's finding what the factors of that number is. So if I want to figure out the divisors of 906, really I'm trying to find what the factors of 906 are. So we're kind of just going to go up the line from 1 up through 10, and we'll see which ones are factors of 906. So I know for sure 1 is always going to be a factor of your numbers, so let's just go ahead and write 1. And then other divisors, aka factors of 906, well, 2, the last digit is even, which it is, yeah, so 2 is going to be a factor. 3, that's the one that we just did. 3, I add up my 9 plus 0 plus 6, that equals 15. 15 is divisible by 3, so 3, also a factor. Let's keep going. Let's see if 4 is a factor. Well, 4 says the last 2 digits can be divided by 4. Well, my last 2 digits are 6. 6 can't really be divided by 4 evenly, so 4 is not going to be a factor. 5, kind of group these together. 5 means if your last digit is 0 or 5, then then 5 is a divisor, and that's not the case for us, so no 5. 6, the numbers can be divided by 2 and 3. Well, that happened. We have a 2, we have a 3, so automatically we can go ahead and write 6. Seven's kind of the oddball. It's not on here, so unfortunately you have to actually do some long division to figure out if 906 is divisible by 7, and often it isn't, whatever number they give you, but we do want to go ahead and check it. So 7 goes into 9 one time. We get a 2 left over. Sorry that my stuff is really messy here. 7 goes into 20 2 times, gives me a 14. And then I end up with a 6 and bring down another 6. And 7 goes into 6 9 times, because that gives me 63. Well, then there's still 3 left over, so I have a remainder. So 7 did not work. Since there's a remainder, that means no go. So 7 is not a divisor of 906. Keep going down the line. 8. This one says 8, the last 3 digits can be divided by 8. Well, 906, those are the 3 digits. Another thing that you can do to see is I like to, let me move all this, hang on, delete that. What I like to do for 8 is really if it can be divided by 2 3 times. So 906 divided by 2, then divided by 2, divided by 2. To me, that's easier than just doing long division and seeing if it can divide by 8. With this one, it's not going to work. And then keep going. 9, the sum of the digits can be divided by 9. Well, 9 plus 0 plus 6, again, 15, not divisible by 9. So these are going to just be the 4 divisors of 906. 470, I want you to pause the video, kind of do the same thing for yourself, and I'll start it up in a second, and I'll kind of walk through it with you. All right, so hopefully you figured out what you think the divisors of 470 are, and so you should have come up with 1, as everything does, 2, because it is an even number, and then 3 doesn't work because 4 plus 7 is 11, not divisible by 3, so no 3. 4 also not going to work because if I try to divide 70 by 4, I get, well, divided by 2 is 35, and then divided by another 2, going to be a decimal, so not 4. But 5 works because it got a 0 in the end. 6, 7, 8, and 9 do not work, but then there is that 0 on the end, so I know that 10 is going to work. So 10 would be my last divisor that ends, or that goes from 0 to 10. Next one, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try these out, and I'll give you the answers in a second. All right, hopefully you have paused the video and come up with some answers. I'm going to go ahead and show you what those are, and you are good to go ahead and do your homework. Here we go. Hopefully you have everything. If you did not, if you missed one, go back and look at the test for divisibility for that number. See if you can figure out what went wrong. All right, thanks.